Thanks everybody for joining us. I'm here with Congressman Ro Khanna, and we're talking about something that we're introducing today that we think is going to be really important for a lot of essential workers, people who are helping us respond right now in this healthcare crisis and trying to keep us fed and keep this economy going.
Well, as you pointed out, there are still 60 million Americans who are going to work. They're the ones who are keeping the internet running, the electricity flowing, people fed. And a lot of times these are workers who are invisible. And one of the cases we've seen is someone was going to work at a grocery store and was saying, I want to be able to wear gloves. I want to be able to have a mask. I want to have social distancing, and wasn't getting anywhere. They contacted our office and we had to reach out to the grocery store. Well, the first part of our Bill of Rights says that any worker needs to have safe conditions. It's shameful we have to regulate this and legislate this, but the reality is businesses aren't providing safe working conditions for people who are risking their lives to keep this economy open.
So legal obligation, if you're going to be on the front lines, put people out on the front lines, you've got to provide them with safety equipment so that they can take care of themselves, and also to protect whistleblowers. So if someone goes to the authorities and says there's a problem here, that person isn't in fear of losing her job for doing that. Unions are important all the time, but boy, you see this in a crisis. The importance of having worker representation, someone that a worker can go to and say, hey, what's happening here isn't right, or here's what we could do together to make this stronger and safer. That's what unions are there for, and we need to protect them during this pandemic.
And I was outraged. I don't know if you saw this story, Senator Warner, with Instacart. They've set up their app in a way that people could say they were going to give a large tip, and then when the Instacart driver delivered their groceries, they would reduce the tip to zero. Basically wage theft as I see it. And so we need to make sure these people who are risking their lives to keep this economy going are getting hazard pay. They're getting some pay acknowledging their work. To me, that's free market.
And one more part, making sure that people's medical expenses are covered.
Absolutely. We're in a healthcare crisis. We ought to be able to provide people with healthcare. And you have a lot of these folks, they're independent contractors. They don't have healthcare benefits, and so they aren't able to go to a doctor or get testing if they need it. If there was any time in our country's history that we need to say everyone should have basic healthcare, it's during this crisis.
So, Congressman, we've known there have been inequalities in our country for a long time. But how do you see the impact of this crisis?
Well, this crisis, unfortunately, has affected those people who don't have economic security the worst. First of all, it's created the greatest health risk for those who have to go in and do physical labor versus those who can work remotely. They are having a higher incidence of getting the disease. They're having less access to the proper health care. Second, they're the ones who are struggling with paying the rent. They're the ones who don't have the family leave provisions to be able to take care of their kids. Given how essential they are, why is it that they're not being compensated? Why are all of the gains just going to a very few? And so I think this crisis has really highlighted that.
Mm-hmm. For a long time, I've talked about how the economy works best when everybody gets a chance, because you have more demand in the economy when you grow the economy from the grassroots up. Why that is so powerfully important to keep the economy working for everyone. This crisis has highlighted how unequal pay and opportunities are for so many Americans. Starting with an Essential Workers Bill of Rights, I think this is a chance for us to pull some things back into balance in a really important way.
We need to make sure that the stimulus is going to help workers and not just big corporations. You were on the front lines after the 2008 crisis saying we can't just be looking out for Wall Street. We need to help Main Street. And unfortunately, choices were made there that didn't do that. And that left a crisis of confidence, I think, in all of our institutions. We can't repeat that mistake.
I like the way you put that. We need these workers. And it's about the first parts of how we're going to help rebuild this economy as we come out of it. The best way to do that is to support our essential workers. And that's what our Essential Workers Bill of Rights is all about. I'm really glad we're partnering up on this. This is going to be a long road ahead of us. I know it's going to be tough. We're not going to come out of this crisis in just a matter of days, but this is a chance for us to understand the people that we're depending on to help keep us safe during this time and to help us rebuild this economy. For everybody who's watching this, thank you. Thanks for being part of this fight. Stay with us and be safe out there. Thanks, Ro.
Great seeing you. Thanks for doing this.
Great. Let's stay after it.
Awesome.
All right. Take care.